Okay, we're going to begin. This is a story, it's the second part of the story about Last Boat Goes to Dundee. This part is got a subtitle called Drama on the Newcastle on Tyne High Level Bridge. After the stressful loading of the boat last evening, what else did fate have in store for our journey on the morrow? Bank Holiday Saturday found us well on our way by 3 a.m. As it was my intention to turn round and return home from Dundee without a break, co-drivers were Sister Jane and her lorry driver husband number 1, Colin. Brief note here, Sister Jane was destined to have 2 more husbands, both lorry drivers. End of note. Everything proceeded well until we arrived in Newcastle upon Tyne at about 7 a.m. The main A1 road was being changed, but in August 1969 still ran through the centre of the town. We were aiming for the famous road bridge crossing the Tyne when a single-deck service bus tried to cut us off at an approaching traffic island. Not being able to stop quickly with the trailer and boat hanging on behind, we kept going. The bus had to stop. It did not take him long to catch up, and just as we reached the centre of the high-level bridge crossing the River Tyne, he surged past us, swerved sharply in front, causing me to brake hard, and we both stopped. Bank Holiday Saturday morning was going to be busy in the very centre of Newcastle, and not wishing for a prolonged confrontation with irate bus drivers, I tried to select reverse gear swiftly. This resulted in a dramatic clunk as the large gear lever in the centre of the floor by my side snapped off from its selector in the top of the gearbox. I now had something far more serious to consider and take my mind off the bus driver hurling abuse through my driver's side window. During this exciting interlude, Jane and Colin were both asleep, one beside me on the passenger seat and the other across the rear seats. They were awoken by the irate bus driver venting his spleen and my equally vociferous cursing at the precarious situation we were now in. After he had exhausted himself and duly left, we had to review our options. We were in the very centre of the main road bridge going through one of the busiest cities in the country. It was 7:30 a.m. on Bank Holiday Saturday, August. Very, very soon we were going to become a major obstacle, so what to do best? The car would not move under its own power, but fortunately Jane belonged to the AA Recovery Club. I found a telephone box nearby and a local garage was requested to attend to our predicament. When the mechanic arrived just before 8 a.m, very fast response for which we were delighted, he was an old hand who had experience of this problem previously. Evidently, where the gear lever swivels on the parcel shelf below the dashboard, it creates an extra thrust that pushes excess load on the selector in the top of the gearbox. We were eloquently informed. "I may have the answer to your problem," he stated firmly. "Just behind our workshop is a scrapyard for cars, and I'm sure there is a Rover just like yours in there." He continued calmly. "First of all, though, we have to get rid of this boat, as I cannot tow 2 vehicles at one time." Abandoned. The boat was unhitched and the mechanic towed it into the mouth of the new A1 road that was to disappear underground at the northernmost end of the bridge. We quickly removed the roadwork barriers and deposited the boat on the trailer with Jane and Colin in the tunnel mouth to await my return. We were at least 5 hours travelling time from Dundee, and the traffic was building up rapidly by now in the centre of the city. The mechanic was true to his word. There was a Rover in the scrapyard and it still had its gear selector. By 8:30 the car was fixed, and me £10 lighter in the pocket. The mechanic explained that one reason he came to us quickly was that his shift ended at 8. The other thing he explained was that the gear selector could have broken at any time, as it had a partial break already. We were lucky that it had happened close to someone who could find the solution. Dundee. I picked up Jane, Colin and the boat, and by 9 a.m. we were on our way north once more. My turn to rest as Colin took us to Edinburgh and the Forth Road Bridge. The remainder of the journey was uneventful, the scenery amazing as we passed over the Forth Road Bridge and proceeded on through Perth and down towards the coast once more and our destination. We managed to keep in touch with our client by public phone from time to time and report our progress. He very kindly informed us that we were to have lunch with his family. One small problem resulted in our journey ending with a bang. The client was a builder by trade, but also had a fleet of minibuses as a sideline. His yard was quite extensive and allowed plenty of room for the boat and trailer. Access was the problem. The road past his property was far higher than everything around, and there was a sharp drop down into his yard. The telephone lines crossed in front at the level of the road were not very high. I suppose if one of us had had the awareness to climb onto the boat and ease the wires over it, it would have been better. Colin was reversing gently down the slope into the yard, but we were all tired, and this thought only came to us as the wires twanged across the mast tabernacle on the boat coach roof and parted with a distinct crack. The boat owner was so delighted with his purchase, only previously seeing it in photographs, that he cared not a jot. He told us quite casually that as a commercial user, his telephone line would be up and working again by the next day. He was delighted with the trailer too. I was sorry to see it go, particularly as I had originally had it built in exchange for my well-beloved blue 1936 MGTA. We must mention that lunch before the return journey, all the family were around a huge table, plus places for his 2 Yorkshire Terrier dogs. Something you see in comic strip stories was right in front of us. They were well behaved too. Jane drove us back to Edinburgh, I did Edinburgh to Scott's Corner, and Colin drove us the rest of the way home. The journey was much quicker without the boat and trailer. We were home in the early hours of Sunday morning. Apart from the broken gear lever, the car in true Rover 90 style never missed a beat for the whole 1,200 miles or so. There was just this smell of petrol which you could detect when sleeping on the rear seats on the return journey. The petrol pump in these large old Rover saloons was in the right-hand corner of the boot. It pushed the fuel forward to the carburettor on the engine. This method of fuel delivery is common to the range of Morris and Austin minicars that were becoming the rage at this time. It was also shared by the MG Sports saloons. I clambered underneath the car after servicing at about lunchtime Sunday. Jane turned on the ignition to activate the pump, and I was engulfed in a fine spray of petrol jetting from a pinhole in the fuel delivery pipe just above the exhaust. There we are, that's the end of that story. That was part 2 of Last Boat to Dundee, brought to you by Cracker Books, written and read by Keith Sanders. Hello, we're going to record this bit. Now this is the new ending to all our stories on Buzzsprout and on YouTube. We don't have a shop anymore. This is from September 2021. Because of COVID, we decided we'd make all our stories, videos and books free to access on the internet. You can download to anything you like, completely free of charge. Now, access all these things, you can look at our new website, www.itsarumlife.com. That's ITSARUMLIFE, all no gaps, .com. itsarumlife.com. So we hope you enjoy listening to the stories, and you can see far more and access them through this new site.